My brother shoved me out of my wheelchair at our family reunion. "Stop pretending for attention," he said. Everyone laughed as I hit the ground. What they didn't realize was that my doctor was standing right behind them. He cleared his throat and said 5 words that ended everything. The concrete hit my palms first, then my shoulder, then my head. Not hard enough to black out, but hard enough that the world tilted sideways and stayed there. The backyard spinning like I was drunk, even though I hadn't touched the beer cooler. 50 people staring, some were laughing, a few were filming. My brother Tyler stood over me, chest heaving, face red with righteous anger and 3 Bud Lights. "Stop faking for attention," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear, loud enough for the neighbors 3 houses down to hear the axe getting old. Marcus. I lay there on the sun-baked concrete of my aunt's patio, my wheelchair tipped on its side 2 feet away, one wheel still spinning slowly in the July heat. My right leg was twisted at an angle that sent lightning bolts of pain up my spine, the kind of pain I'd learned to breathe through over the past 26 months. The kind that made my vision white out at the edges. The family reunion continued around me like I was a piece of lawn furniture that had fallen over. Someone turned up the country music. A kid ran past chasing a wiffle ball. The smell of burgers on the grill mixed with cut grass and the sharp coppery taste of blood in my mouth from where I'd bitten my tongue. "Get up, Marcus," Tyler said, and I could hear the satisfaction in his voice, the vindication. "Everyone's watching. Time to drop the charade." I tried to push myself up. My arms shook. The concrete had scraped my palms raw. I could see tiny pieces of gravel embedded in the meat of my left hand, blood welling up around them like garnets. "Look at him," Tyler announced, turning to address our assembled relatives like he was a prosecutor. And this was his closing argument. "He's been milking this wheelchair thing for 2 years, ever since the accident that nobody actually saw. I was there," my mom said from somewhere in the crowd. Her voice was weak, uncertain. The voice of someone who'd been beaten down by 2 years of family gatherings exactly like this one. "You found him at the bottom of the stairs," Tyler corrected. "That's not the same thing as witnessing it. For all we know, he threw himself down on purpose." The crowd murmured agreement, consideration. "That makes sense, doesn't it?" My cousin Jake, 23, worked at Best, still lived with his parents, stepped forward from the circle of relatives. "Dude, I've seen him walk at the Jewel-Osco on Roosevelt Road last month. He was in the cereal aisle." The murmuring got louder, heads nodded. Of course, I knew it. Always suspected that was physical therapy. I managed from the ground, my voice coming out smaller than I wanted, weaker. "I told everyone about the outpatient program at Rush." "Sure it was," Tyler interrupted. He kicked my wheelchair. The aluminum frame rang like a bell. "Meanwhile, you've been collecting disability checks and living in Mom's basement rent-free for 2 years, playing video games, ordering DoorDash on her credit card. Living the dream while the rest of us work for a living because I can't work, because you won't work." Tyler's face was so close I could smell the beer and barbecue sauce. "There's a difference, little brother." My Uncle Richard, Dad's younger brother, the one who sold insurance and drove a Lexus and talked about personal responsibility at every holiday, pulled out his Samsung Galaxy. Held it up like he was documenting a crime scene. "I'm recording this," he announced, "for evidence. We've all been enabling this behavior for too long. It's time someone stood up for the truth." I looked around for support for anyone. My mom stood near the picnic table, wringing her hands. My Aunt Linda, Mom's sister, the one who'd organized this reunion, who'd insisted I come even though I'd tried to cancel 3 times, stood with her arms crossed, lips pursed in judgment. My grandmother sat in her lawn chair under the oak tree, fanning herself with a paper plate, watching me like I was a disappointing television show. Nobody moved to help. The doctor said I started. The doctor said maybe, Tyler interrupted. He was on a roll now, playing to the crowd, feeding off their attention. "Maybe you'll walk again, maybe it's permanent, maybe. You've been dining out on maybe for 24 months, while Mom bankrupts herself trying to fix you. He does look awfully comfortable in that chair," my grandmother said loud enough for everyone to hear, like he's been practicing, "because I'm in it 12 hours a day by choice." Tyler grabbed my wallet from my jacket pocket where I'd fallen, held it up like evidence, opened it. "See this disability card, $830 a month, plus Mom pays for everything else. Rent, food, medical supplies, special equipment. I have medical bills." My throat was closing up. My hands were shaking, and it wasn't just from the fall. "You have excuses." He threw my wallet at me. It hit my chest and fell open, my driver's license staring up at me. The photo from before when I could stand for the DMV camera without support. The gravy train ends today, Marcus, right here, right now. The crowd started clapping, actually clapping like Tyler had just delivered the speech from a sports movie about overcoming adversity through sheer determination and refusing to quit. Tyler, that's enough. Mom finally stepped forward, but there was no strength in her voice. She sounded like she was asking for permission instead of giving an order. No, Mom, he's bleeding you dry. Tyler's voice softened when he spoke to her, becoming almost gentle. Physical therapy 3 times a week, expensive medical equipment, and that modified van you bought. You even took out a second mortgage on the house you've lived in for 30 years just for him. You're 62 and you'll still be paying it off when you're 80. Mom's face turned red, but she didn't deny it. I hadn't told him about the second mortgage. I never asked you to do that, I said quietly, but you didn't stop her either. Tyler pointed at me, his finger like a weapon. You just kept taking, kept draining her, and kept playing the victim while everyone else sacrificed for you. He crouched down until he was inches from my face. Stand up right now, he said quietly, or I'll call the police for disability fraud, insurance fraud, whatever fraud fits. You'll end up in jail, Marcus, and honestly, that might be better for everyone. I can't. The pain in my leg was getting worse, the kind of pain that meant I'd probably torn something or damaged something that would cost thousands of dollars. And weeks of therapy to fix. Stand up, then the entire family started chanting. Stand up, stand up, stand up. There were at least 50 voices. Even the neighbors had wandered over to watch. Kids were recording on their phones. My Aunt Linda clapped in rhythm, leading the chant like it was some kind of game. I stayed on the ground because I had no other choice. My right leg hadn't had full sensation for 26 months. Metal rods in my spine made certain movements nearly impossible. Everything Tyler was saying, every accusation, every insult, every cruel word came from a place of ignorance. He never asked, he never cared enough to understand. My leg throbbed with every heartbeat. Tyler grabbed my shirt and yanked me halfway off the ground. I'm done watching you manipulate everyone. You're a liar, a con artist, and that's my patient. You're assaulting him. The chanting stopped instantly. Everything went silent. Tyler's grip loosened, but he didn't let go. A man stepped out from the crowd. He looked to be in his mid-50s, wearing khakis, a navy polo shirt, wire-rimmed glasses, and holding a can of Diet Coke. He looked as though he'd been quietly watching the entire scene, which I realized he had. His expression was completely calm. Tyler let go. I fell back onto the concrete. Who the hell are you? Tyler demanded. Dr. James Chen, the man replied before taking a sip of his Diet Coke, Marcus's orthopedic surgeon. The entire crowd fell silent. The only sounds left were burgers sizzling on the grill, a dog barking a few houses away, and country music playing from someone's Bluetooth speaker. I'm also his physical therapist, his pain management specialist, and I work closely with his neurologist, Dr. Sarah Patel, at Northwestern Memorial. I've been treating Marcus since about 47 hours after his accident, 26 months ago. Aunt Linda gave a nervous laugh. Well, doctor, you must be proud. Apparently your patient can walk just fine when nobody's watching. Dr. Chen smiled, though it never reached his eyes. Actually, he said, pulling out his iPhone, I have something everyone should see. He held up an X-ray. This is Marcus's lumbar spine, specifically his L4 and L5 vertebrae. He zoomed in. These are 4 metal rods. These are 14 screws. They're from the spinal fusion surgery I performed 14 months ago at Rush University Medical Center. The surgery lasted 7 hours. His recovery took 6 months. Nobody spoke. Tyler stood completely still. The reason Marcus can stand during physical therapy is because we're carefully training his body to manage short distances with a walker. Right now, he can walk about 47 meters before the nerve damage causes severe pain that forces him to stop. He paused. That's roughly 5 minutes of movement. After that, the damaged nerves begin misfiring, causing what's known as neuropathic pain. Imagine nails being driven into your leg while someone shocks you with a cattle prod. He swiped to another image. This is his right sciatic nerve. The dark area you see here is permanent nerve damage from the fall. It's why his right leg has limited proprioception, the ability to know where your body is in space. That's also why he can't safely bear weight for long. By then, my cousin Jake had quietly slipped away toward the house. The orthotic brace he wears costs around $4,000 and isn't fully covered by insurance. It provides stability, but it isn't a cure. There is no cure. Dr. Chen's voice remained calm and professional. This is his life now. Every day is painful. Every step is uncertain. Every moment in that wheelchair reminds him of everything he lost. He looked directly at Tyler. But yes. According to you, he's faking. Dr. Chen raised his phone again. I also recorded something about 7 minutes ago, right after I arrived. He pressed play. Tyler's voice echoed across the yard. Stop faking for attention. Then came the sound of my body hitting the concrete, followed by laughter and the family chanting. After 30 seconds, Dr. Chen stopped the recording. I recorded the entire incident, he said calmly. The assault, the verbal abuse, the public humiliation of a disabled man by his own family. Then he looked at Uncle Richard. You're not the only one collecting evidence today. Uncle Richard was still holding his phone. His hand was shaking. Tyler stumbled backward until he hit the picnic table. I was just. We all thought you thought wrong, Dr. Chen said coldly. You never asked questions. You never requested medical records. You never spoke with his doctors. You never tried to understand what your brother has lived through for more than 2 years. He knelt beside me with practiced ease. Can you move, Marcus? I nodded slightly. Pain level 8, I whispered, maybe 9. He carefully examined my leg, checking my knee and ankle. His expression darkened. Possible ligament damage. We'll need imaging. Then he looked at everyone. Someone bring his wheelchair. Mom moved first. She picked it up, rolled it over, and quietly wiped away the tears streaming down her face. Doctor. Chen helped me back into the chair with the gentle precision of someone who had done it countless times before. The crowd remained frozen. Some people were crying. Most couldn't even look at me. Even my grandmother had stopped fanning herself. Dr. Chen stood and addressed the entire gathering. I came here today because Marcus asked me to. His voice carried across the yard. He knew this confrontation was coming. He'd heard the whispers, seen the looks, and watched his brother build toward this moment for months. The Facebook posts questioning his disability. The comments at Christmas, the jokes at Easter about how convenient his condition seemed. Tyler opened his mouth to speak. No words came out, Doctor. Chen stepped forward and said, Marcus asked me to come because he knew his family wouldn't believe him. He introduced himself as Marcus's surgeon, the doctor who performed his spinal surgery, and explained that he had documented everything. He handed Tyler his lawyer's card and said they would file a police report for assault and a civil lawsuit. With years of medical records, X-rays, MRIs, and therapy notes, he could prove Marcus's disability beyond doubt. He also thanked Uncle Richard for recording the incident, explaining that the video captured harassment, false accusations, and the assault. Looking at the family, he reminded them that everyone who laughed, chanted, or stood by was now on camera. He added that Marcus was a disabled Army National Guard veteran, making the case even more serious. Doctor. Chen helped Marcus into his wheelchair and took him to the emergency room, where doctors confirmed another serious knee injury that required surgery. A police investigation quickly followed, and Tyler was arrested for aggravated battery against a disabled person. Marcus later filed a civil lawsuit with attorney Jennifer Wu, who explained that not only Tyler but others who encouraged the abuse could also be held responsible. The story soon went viral. Tyler lost his job, his relationship, and eventually his home. Months later, he pleaded guilty, received probation, community service, anger management, and agreed to a $127,000 civil settlement for Marcus's medical expenses and damages. Over time, Tyler sincerely apologized and began working with disabled patients, slowly rebuilding his life. Marcus forgave Tyler for his ignorance, but admitted he could never fully forgive the cruelty of being pushed from his wheelchair. Years later, Marcus became a disability rights speaker, encouraging others to stand up for themselves. While only a few family members truly apologized, Tyler spent years proving he had changed. Marcus realized that although the past could never be erased, real change and accountability were possible.